PK, you put up a question on our Facebook page. It's been a full week now. You've had time to absorb it. The weekend is here, but can you still believe the Jazz didn't get screwed in the lottery? And Ricky says, as the great Egyptian pharaoh once said, let it be written, let it be done. So I guess that's Ricky. It sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit from somewhere. Ricky he finally has accepted it, and now he is ready for greatness. He is ready for a great draft pick. It may have taken a minute for Ricky to let it all sink in, but he's absorbed it. Way to go, Ricky. Costa, meanwhile, stays way down on the Jazz. Oh, I can't wait for the next 25 to 30 win season. Why are people like that? I find that so. I mean, if you want to be frustrated by the way last 4 years have at it. If you don't like the trades, okay, that's your opinion. Fine, don't like the trades. But why do you think next year is just going to completely suck? I suppose it could because injuries gut teams every year. So, but why not? The Jazz, 1 out of the 30, maybe it's them. But doesn't everything on this team just scream they have a lot more talent? Even last season, 22 wins. That could have easily been 32. We all watch them dump games against terrible teams on purpose. I don't see why anyone goes into next season thinking 25 to 30. There isn't one national person who's going to pick that. You have to be a Jazz fan who's mad and angry and frustrated to go that low. That's crazy to me.
I think that depending on how old you are, there's a perception that the league isn't interested in having Salt Lake City, Utah being the center of the league at any point, even if it's just for a series, and that everything is slanted against them. And you can see why they think that, because the Lakers have been on top, been in the finals for so many times. There was a time that they were in literally half the finals. Now it's been a little bit, so it's probably been skewed a little lower than that. And the Celtics find ways to get back and all that stuff. And so Miami, because of the South Beach and whatnot, they don't have any of that. And so you can see where if you have a deep scar, do deep scars really heal, or do you just find a way to deal with them? Now I'm getting pretty philosophical in life, but I think if you just take it from a sports standpoint, depending on how old you are, I can see what they're thinking. And there might be other people that go, wait a second, you want me to believe in this management who's done nothing but literally lose, and deliberately they had 2 guys that were all-stars and they said, no, this is not what we want. We'd rather have this. Even though this is the great unknown, we've got something over here with Mitchell and Gobert that we know can be competitive. Even if they fall short, they can still be competitive. And maybe we could have built upon that. But they said, nope, this isn't what we want. We'd rather go through this brutal process knowing that it is even less of a guarantee to be competitive versus what we already had. You combine those 2 different factors, and you end up with a lot of cynicism.
I get that. But Oklahoma City's the defending champs, and San Antonio got picks 1, 2, and 4 and built a good team.
They're not the Jazz.
Let's bring David Locke in, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. David, good morning.
In the deserts of Arizona, they're laden with the saguaro cactus that lasts for 150 to 200 years. They don't grow arms until they're perfectly strong enough to be able to do so. They can hold 300 gallons of water at one time on a storm. They grow a little bit similar to the level of DJ and PK. DJ and PK started as small little hidden under trees for protectiveness and then grew into themselves into staples that may last 150 to 200 years on the airwaves of Salt Lake City. And from the looks of them, they can hold 300 gallons of water at a time. Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
I love cactus, man. That's my homeland right there. There's only one place in the U.S. where you can get those saguaros, and that is from Phoenix South. No other place in the country.
Well, that might be exactly where I'm sitting while I talk to you.
I remember a little kid, family vacation. We drove from San Diego to Arizona. We went to the Grand Canyon. We went to Sedona and driving. I can still remember being on the road and looking. I'm like, whoa, What is that? And then the parents explaining pretty much everything David did, but not quite the way David did. I don't remember the 300 pounds of water. But it was an easy topic of conversation for 30 and 40 miles to kill some time with little kids. We were all, oh, like, that is so weird. It was great.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
Especially with, you can't go and take them out of the desert. You have to have a sticker on the bottom and you can receive a fine. It is against the law. They are protected that much.
Yes. Aware of these items, not with no problem to it, but am aware of such rules.
Yeah. David,
now,
you've had a week.
The amount of rattlesnakes, Gila monsters, and moths, and everything else that comes in this desert also seems to be a little excessive.
Yeah, pronounce Gila, not Gila, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry. I saw my first Gila monster ever yesterday. These are the things you really wanted to know.
No, we really wanted to know. Now that you've had a week to absorb the draft, have you finally just like, wow, it happened. All right.
Who's going to be the Jazz Gila monster?
Yeah, right. I actually did, David. I did exactly that. Like, freaked out on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Kind of still freaked out on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, like went into pure analysis mode. Like, let me watch all of them. And then like yesterday, woke up and was like, holy crap! We get to choose. Like, we get one of these guys.
Yep.
Like, they're not perfect. I feel like they were portrayed to be perfect all season long. I think they're really, really good. This draft's going to be good. I don't actually, not entirely sure it's not just going to be like every other draft that's ever existed, right? There's going to be, of the top 10, there's going to be a bust, and there's going to be 7 really good players, and there's going to be 3 all-stars and 1 superstar. Like, I'm not as convinced as everyone else that this is like the 1980, like they opened the lottery with like, it's going to be like the 1986 draft. I was like, okay, let's, I feel like we're hyping it a little bit. I actually think I'm not sure. I will say this. I'm not sure we've ever had a combination of 2 years back to back where this much talent's going to be infused in the league and this much high level talent. Because I actually think last year's draft is going to turn out to be, now that we have a year of data, be the one that really these guys were incredible. And even like just, seeing Carter Bryant play for the Spurs in the playoffs, like that's pretty unusual. The 13th, 14th pick is playing in playoff basketball right now. So I think, it's incredible, absolutely incredible that we get to add this talent. And really, if you just get to kind of DJ's or PK's point, which is, the cynicism of like, hey, we had these 2 guys and we've moved from it. The rebuild felt like it was just on perpetual, like, treadmill, right? Like you were just going forever. Yeah. You saw no end in sight. And now you take from the Keontae George emergence to the Jaren Jackson trade to the lottery success, and all of a sudden the rebuild looks like it was like done perfectly. Like it's an incredible 9 months for Jazz basketball, because I'm like, I was sitting there like everybody else going like, when does this end? And how do we ever get enough players? And oh my gosh, are we about to be bad for 20 years? And then if you had been and lottery reform, this could have been really ugly. And instead, the last 9 months with, Keontae, if you redraft that draft with Keontae, I think he's 3rd or 4th in that draft now, right? He's probably ahead of the Thompson twins. And so you suddenly have that. You have the emergence of the brilliant trade for Jaren Jackson and the lottery luck. And this thing lined up. All of a sudden, it's like, let's go. And frankly, the Lowry and Jarrett are overpaid a tiny bit, but the salaries line up pretty darn well too for this thing to go for a long time. So it's pretty incredible where we sit right now.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
For discussion's sake, I'm not saying the Jazz want to or will do, but just follow me and just say they will. Yeah. What is the point? Why would they trade up to get AJ?
Because you think he's going to be one of the top 8 players in the NBA. It's really simple. It has absolutely nothing to do with whether he wants to stay in Utah or whether he wants to go to BYU. If those are the reasons we're doing it, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Because if we can't run this franchise with Ryan Smith at the helm and everything we're trying to do, Ryan and Ashley Smith at the helm, and believe in ourselves enough that we can build a place the players want to stay, and we can only find this one unicorn that might want to stay. And I'm not sure I even buy that story. If we can't run a franchise like not in fear, we might as well. You can't run a business in fear. You can't run a franchise in fear. So if that's really what we're doing, then forget about it. The reason you trade up for AJ Dybantsa, or the reason you trade up for Darryn Peterson, by the way, like I've watched Darryn Peterson. I might trade up for Darryn Peterson. Like very quietly, could you imagine that? We trade up for one and go take Darryn Peterson? I don't think that's crazy either. If you know he's all right with everything else, 6'6" guard who can score like that and move like that, and if you think his shot's okay, like he's got a little twist to it and you think you can fix that, like, oh God, like that's real. So you trade for either of these two players if you believe they're a top 8 or 10 player in the NBA in 3 or 4 years. If you believe they're Cade Cunningham, if you believe they're Luka Doncic, if you believe they're, Giannis and on time for flights, if you believe they're, you guys, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like if you believe that if it's one of those players who's going to be in the MVP conversation at for 5 to 10 years, you trade everything for them, right? Like let's go back to the show we did together where you said, what would you trade for Luka? And I was like, every single thing on our entire roster and every draft pick. And if you can get one of those players, it's not like a linear scale, by the way, of like pretty good to really good to great to like superstar. It's like a hockey stick of value. And so if you believe that any of the kids in this draft are that much different than the rest and going to be a top 10 player, 8 player in the NBA, you should trade the world for them.
I love the hockey stick analogy because good to very good to great, while true, doesn't completely capture the value of going from good to great, right? There are some really good number one. Anthony Edwards and Cade Cunningham are really good players. Now, they may both go out of the playoffs this weekend, so there's that. Victor Wembanyama, that holy cow. It's not if he's going to win a championship, it's a win, isn't it?
Oh, that's or if he's going to win 10.
Yes, right. And as soon as he gets the one, then what's the final number going to be? Because it's going to be multiple, right?
When San Antonio loses to Oklahoma City in the playoffs this year, if they do, the next question that should be asked is when is the next playoff series Victor Wembanyama loses?
Yeah.
Because it might be like 4 years. So I think even in the hockey stick analogy, we actually have Victor Wembanyama might just be something different than the rest of the hockey stick. But I think Anthony Edwards and Cade Cunningham are on that hockey stick part of it. Like if you can get Anthony Edwards or Cade Cunningham in this draft,
you better.
And you go. I don't care what you give up. Like if we give up all 5 of our next future draft picks, like that's when it's worth it. Like, but you got to know, that's the reason you would trade for AJ Dybantsa. But I got to be honest. And now it's really hard. These scouts are really good because actually, if you watch Anthony Edwards out of Georgia, it was like you saw this incredible running back inside of a basketball body, and you were like wondering, and his skills have really accelerated. So it's not all. And you watch Cade Cunningham, and you were super worried about whether he was actually athletic enough around the rim. He wasn't particularly athletic at Oklahoma State around the rim, and he actually wasn't in the NBA for his first few years. So there's really an incredible growth progression that takes place amongst these players while they're in the NBA. And so I watch AJ Dybantsa and I watch Darryn Peterson and I watch Cameron Boozer right now, and I see these things and I'm like, gosh, but obviously they're going to evolve and get way better when they're actually allowed to play basketball every minute of every day and have daily scouting and daily coaching and daily everything else. So it's hard to figure out whether or not the players I'm watching right now are not Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards, but that's not who they're going to be in 3 to 4 years.
I will tell you when Wembanyama loses his next series, and that'll be in 2 years, and it'll be against the wonderful backcourt. It's a Wonderful Life of George Bailey and the greatest front line since Bird, McHale, Parrish, and Walton being Kessler, Jaren Jackson, Larry Markin, and AJ Dybantsa, 27-28 in the spring of 28. That's when it will happen. Mark my words.
Well, it's enough size to maybe do it. Might need somebody on that roster to be a defensive first player, but I'm with you. Like, let's go for it. Like, it's enough size to do it. You guys watch AJ much more than me. And I'm watching him now for the first time. So I had 3 takeaways, and I want your guys' thoughts. So obviously the body and the fluidity is incredible. The handle for his size is awesome. There is 0 space on the floor for him to ever go anywhere. So it's hard for me to evaluate.
And yet he did it anyway. But go ahead.
Yeah. And then the off the bounce 3 and the catch and shoot 3 really look poor.
And there it is.
And he knows it.
And that's
he's got to improve the 3-point shooting. You're right. He's got to. You
really can't be without that shot. You're Paulo Banchero, and Paulo Banchero can score a lot of points and do a lot of stuff, but it's not working in Orlando.
It won't work when you get to the playoffs. In the playoffs,
it won't work in the regular season either. Actually,
I guess we can debate that. But since you want it to work in the playoffs and you're drafting for the playoffs, that's the whole point now. Anyway, I think there might be ways to finesse it in the regular season a little bit. But to your point, you want to spread the floor and create the lanes for you and all your teammates to drive. You want to have that quote-unquote gravity, and he's not good enough right now. But if he did have that, then he'd be talked about as a slam dunk number 1, and there'd be absolutely no chance that, A, you could trade for him, or B, he would fall to number 2.
Yep.
If he had that, he's number 1, they're taking him, and don't call me, I'll call you as far as the trade proposals.
Yeah, I mean, let me just say why I say it will. Why it doesn't work in the regular season also. If you're a non-shooter in that manner, you have to have the ball in your hands all the time. And that's what happens to Orlando, is that Banchero is really, really good, but if they give the ball to Franz Wagner or they give the ball to Desmond Bane or they give the ball to Jalen Suggs, all good players, and Banchero's on the floor, no one's guarding Banchero. Because they don't care if he kicks, catch, and shoot 3. And they know they have enough time to get back to him. And so it clogs up the entire rest of the offense. And that's why Orlando's 22nd in the league offensively every year. So that's why I make that comment, that it's a big deal. By the way, I think both these kids are obviously there's Darryn Peterson off-court issues with what's going on with his body or whether it was physical or not. Yeah. Issues that are real, figured out. But I got to say, some of his fluidity and movement and things like that. And then I'm looking at the NBA right now, and Jalen Brunson's dominating a series, and Donovan's dominating a series some of the time, and Cade Cunningham's dominating a series some of the time, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's dominating a series. And I actually begin to wonder whether, for the first time ever, I'm looking at 6'9" versus 6'6", and I'm like, well, maybe I want 6'6".
Well,
maybe I want the pure handle guard more than I want the 6'9" big wing. If you even go back to last year when I watched Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, my very first reaction was I thought Bailey was 6'10" at the time. But I was like, wait, why would I possibly take 6'3" instead of 6'10"? And watching the NBA right now, I'm actually beginning to wonder if 6'6" ball handling guard is actually a more important prototype than archetype or whatever you want to call it player than the 6'9" wing. But it depends. If he becomes Luka, then you're fine. But
right, Boston's ridden those wings to a lot of success, and all the guys you mentioned they're good. But back to the hockey stick, let's add up all of their conference finals, all of their NBA finals, and all of their titles, because the Jazz are trying to win a title, but they certainly want to open the championship window and get to the Final Four. Now, maybe if it's horses for courses, right? Hey, if this is who Wembanyama is, build a team that is the Spurs' kryptonite, because that's who you're going to have to beat. And so maybe there's some logic.
I have no idea. I have
what
no
that is.
idea what. It might be a team that has to take 73s, actually.
Because he can't block every 3-point shooter, right?
I mean, he just takes away half the court. If you watch the game and understand like what's supposed to be happening and where passes are supposed to go and where guys' routes are supposed to be, he literally within 5 seconds to 7 seconds of every possession ruins what the other team is doing and what their natural movements are supposed to be with his presence. It's incredible.
So then the question is a matter of degrees. It isn't not just this player they pick, can they shoot the three, but to what degree? Banchero, who we'll just use the example because you brought him up, that dude's shooting, I don't know, what is he shooting, David? 30, 32%? 31?
Yeah, 31.
So now, what if you have a guy who shoots 35, 36, 37? Or you got to go, you're not going to find Steph Curry shooting 45, but is somebody in this group going to shoot 40% from three?
Well, the fascinating one is if you look at their college numbers, okay? The fascinating one is if you actually dig into Peterson, his above the break and his angle right on threes are both 29%. He's good angle left. And, you know, who knows, like, I don't know if those breakdowns really matter. The one of the guys we've talked about, the guy who's the best three-point shooter by far is Cameron Boozer. And what gets interesting to me on Cameron Boozer is if you look at the handoff bigs in the NBA, this is getting pretty esoterically narrow, but the players in the NBA, the bigs that play handoff, are all non-shooters. Almost all of them are non-shooters. Jokic kind of in the middle. But they're Ishua Gudaro and, you know, just bigs who don't shoot. They play a handoff game. Domantas Sabonis, Alperen Sengun. The one big that plays the handoff game that can shoot is Karl Anthony Towns, and he's far and away the best in the NBA at it. If you can play the handoff game with a big that can shoot, you might have a top 5 offense automatically.
If you're building to beat a team, if the Angels even buy into that, but if they do buy into that and you're building to beat a team, the knock on Boozer is, well, he's not that athletic. He can't elevate around the rim. Well, if it's impossible to jump over Victor Wembanyama anyway, what does it matter?
Right.
What is it? Why obsess about that? No one's dunking over the 7'4" guy. Show me the big guy who can score with both hands, who can shoot the three, who's a good teammate, who's a decent passer of the ball, you know, seems to have a winning attitude, judging by all the winning he's done at various levels on the way to this point.
It's a very good point. Like, if you're going to beat Victor Wembanyama, you probably need to have – it's what Jokic does to him. You're going to have your big be the nucleus of the offense, and you're going to probably have to play a pick-and-roll handoff game where he's dropping the way Gobert does, and it's opening up an off-the-bounce three for somebody, and your big is going to have to pop to either keep him away from the basket or to get him there. And you're at that point, San Antonio's counter will be that Victor no longer guards your big and is now guarding somebody else on the floor, in which case now you have to have 5 shooters on the floor. So you have to make sure that whatever player they move Victor off of your big because your big can pop can hit the three that he's going to have to give up to protect the rim. That's so if you're building this thing to try to beat the Spurs, you bring up a great point. Cameron Boozer might be the one you're talking about here.
David, we got to leave it right there for now. We love having you on. Go back to contemplating the cactus. Stay away from the rattlesnakes for sure. I don't know about the Gila monsters or the Gila monsters. I would have mispronounced it too because we didn't have them in San Diego. But I know about the rattlesnakes. Steer clear.
I will. Talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, David. David Locke joining us. DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, top of the hour. Oh, boy. Thunderbird High segment coming up. Pablo Mastroeni on the horizon. 23rd best payroll, 6th best record in the league. How are they doing it? We'll talk with Pablo coming up at 9 o'clock. DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. They make it super simple. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with coverage options tailored to your choices. Plus, you'll see which discounts you may qualify for, like the online quote discount or savings for paying in full. In fact, 99% of Progressive Auto customers earn at least one discount. See if you could save when you switch to Progressive. You'll feel good about making a savvy choice. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little extra cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.